Okay, being 5 o'clock, I'll call the meeting to order and ask Stephanie if she would please call the roll.
Chris,
Here,
Peter,
he's muted. Pete, you're muted. There you go.
Yep, I'm here.
Clarence,
Here.
Juanita.
Here.
Great. We do have a quorum and we'll move to the agenda. And the first item on the agenda is petition ID number 6080, request for determination of applicability.
Yeah, this is the Boston Road one. Yep.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ryan Nelson from R. Levesque Associates, representing the applicant for this site. We had gone out and done a delineation early this fall. Attempt to share my screen here. All right. This is near the intersection of Boston Road and Light Street in Springfield. There was formerly, you can see on this aerial here, I think a foundation that partially was started, and then there was some reworkings here of some site work, which has since been abandoned, and it's overgrown with a lot of successional vegetation. But anyway, there's three isolated vegetated wetlands that we have identified. I'll start off with the first being probably the oldest and most natural. There's a large depression here that straddles the property line, and we flagged starting B100 wraps on to B122, but this closes in on itself, but obviously off site. I searched this area, could not find an inlet or an outlet that would indicate something other than a isolated wetland. There was standing water at the time. Pretty obvious the wetland vegetation was dominant here. The second area is what appears to be a formerly constructed, perhaps a stormwater basin. It had a pretty man-made oval shape. There was an outlet control structure at this end, but it was also overgrown, hasn't been maintained, had standing water, hydric soil, so it definitely has reverted to a wetland. And then the third area was a little bit more tricky, this A wetland series. So this is in a regular shaped depression as a result of this relic earthwork that took place. It lacked topsoil, so you had a lot of invasive species that were growing in inundated conditions, but there was, subsoil or hard pan. So soils weren't really a great indicator here, but vegetation and hydrology which was present. So this appears to have originated, within the past few years. Other than that, the remainder of the site was clearly upland. I didn't notice any other suspicious areas. There's a drainage easement that traverses the property. Not that that's too relevant to a delineation, but just should be noted. Aside from that, it was pretty self-explanatory. There was, 3 distinct depressions on the property. Other than that, I think that hits all the main points.
So this presentation is just for a delineation. So just for the commission to know, I haven't walked the site with with the current proposal. It's been covered in snow since it was submitted. I am familiar with the site, having visited a number of times in the past, and this appears to be accurate to me based on what I had seen in previous ones. So I do want to revisit the site with Ryan. Hopefully we're about to get some snow melt, so maybe we'll get an opportunity fairly quickly. The wetland in the rear of the property, the small man-made looking one, I believe if we were to, Chris, you've got memory of this project, there was some isolated wetlands in the footprint of where that foundation is or isn't these days that got filled as a part of the project. And there was a replication that in the rear of the property was proposed. So I believe if we match the two, we're going to find that this this wetland in the rear of the property kind of met that piece of it, of the old project that's, obviously hasn't happened in 20 years or whatever it's been. So we're going to verify that, but I think that would allow us to officially close out that old file that's been dogging this property for years. And then what the current developer is looking for is confirmation of the boundaries that exist today, and then they'll come back to us with a plan for development.
So the only reason I might wonder whether was actually man-made for the purpose of creating replication wetlands where the foundation was going is the fact that it has an outlet. They wouldn't have put an outlet into a wetland replication. So that.
Well, I wonder if the concern was that the adjoining properties, that if it were to, so we'll have to do a little bit more looking into it.
Because what does it outlet to? Does it intercept through that right away? Is that a storm drain going through there?
So I can speak to that a little bit. I don't remember exactly what it was. It's been some time, but I remember seeing it was either a concrete catch basin or some sort of standpipe that was set well above grade with an open top grate. It definitely wasn't trash that someone just dumped there. It was installed, and it's right around this end. To where it goes to, I'm not sure.
Kind of odd.
It is.
I guess that was my thought, but I could be wrong about it, that it was to maintain the size of it, that it wouldn't expand into adjoining properties, that there'd be sort of an overflow. But it's an old filing, so we'd have to kind of do a little searching. But I do want to visit the site again with Ryan once we have a bit clearer of a picture without a bunch of snow on the ground.
Because what is it overflowing to?
Yeah. But it just
and almost looks like there was at one point somebody intended to do a development, and that was a detention basin that they created.
It's possible, but the development at the time was for the church.
For the church.
I'm purely going on my memory of that old filing, but that the replication area was proposed in the rear of the property. So that's why I thought it was kind of coincidence that they would be in the same spot. So I gotta verify that.
Well, we have to continue for public input anyway.
Yeah.
So give us some time to figure that out.
And just so for the project proponents, in case you're not aware of the protocol we have now with COVID, we're automatically continuing our hearings so that the recording of this meeting will be provided to the public, and they will have a chance to comment on it, if anything. And then at the following meeting, assuming there's not any outstanding issues, we can close the hearing and move on. And to provide comment, you can email me at kchafee@springfieldcityhall.com. It's KCHAFFEE @springfieldcityhall.com, or 413-787-6234 is you can provide comment by phone.
Thank you, Kevin. So if there's no more issues.
I have a question. The other small wetland there, I have a vague memory of when this happened, that was all disturbed land. Was this created? That's not a natural one, is it? It's not a natural wetland.
It's not natural. It's at the base of a kind of a regular stockpiled soil. It's hard to explain, but it's definitely not natural and is created pretty recently.
Was it created when they were doing the foundation? Because now that you said church, I'm remembering this site. And the foundation, do you think that had anything to do with it, or?
I don't think so. I wasn't involved at that time, but where this foundation is quite a bit higher.
Mm,
I think it's more has to do with there's some really large stockpiles around that I think just trap the water.
oh, okay.
Yeah, because if I recall, all they did was some footings and put up block walls, which then either knocked down or fell down.
Yeah, I do
Um,
remember that. It was they started it and then they just abandoned it.
Then everybody disappeared. Yeah, it just went away.
Right, I do remember that. Was that you said 20 years ago?
I might have been exaggerating, but it was a while ago.
Oh.
It was
It's a
prior
while
to
ago.
it was prior to me being with the city, and I've been here since 2008. So
Time flies when you're having fun, Kevin.
it's one way of thinking about it.
So if someone wants to make a motion to continue for the purposes of public input, that would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we continue 6080, the petition.
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call vote is required.
Chris,
Yes.
Peter,
Yep.
Clarence,
Yes.
Juanita.
Yes,
Thank you. Thank
And
you,
Ryan-
Ryan.
Ryan, I'll catch up with you. We got a couple days of warm weather and some rain, so let's try and get out there as soon as we can.
Okay, will do. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. So
You're
item
welcome.
2 is notice of intent for DEP file number 294-0611, Springfield Parks Department, Irrigation Pond Intake Maintenance, 619 Dwight Road. This is at Franconia Golf Course.
So they're gonna come out and look at it and see what the thing is. I was right. They put things out there.
I muted
Not
that.
sure what that was, but
That was the developer for the last one.
oh,
So Steve, I guess I'll open
Yes.
it up to you.
Thank you very much. Hi, my name is Steve D'Ambrosio. I work with GCA. I'm here tonight with Adrian Dunk. On behalf of the Springfield Parks Department for the maintenance to the irrigation water intake at Franconia Golf Course. And I'll attempt to share my screen. Is everyone seeing an aerial?
no.
No,
Seems
I
to
mean,
be
it looks
running on a
like that's a part of Springfield I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. We're seeing your screensaver, I think, is
Oh,
what we're seeing.
gee. All right. Let me try this again. Technical difficulties here.
It makes Springfield look really good.
It certainly does.
Global warming.
Oh boy, what's going on here? Come on. Oh, you know what? All my controls went to my other screen. My apologies here. All right, let's stop this. Try this again. Are you seeing an aerial now?
Yes,
Yes.
we
All
are.
right,
Yep.
fantastic. Thank you for your patience. So here's Franconia Golf Course. This is Dwight Street running north-south. Here's the clubhouse. And the irrigation pond where we're proposing the work is located here. It's in this area here. This is the pump house to the irrigation pond. And I'm going to try to switch to the plans. Are you seeing the plans now?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Fantastic. All right, so this is the irrigation pond and an overview of the resource area, or areas rather, at the project site. Zoom in a little bit here. There's land underwater in the pond itself. There's bank that runs along Pecousic Brook. So this irrigation pond is 1/3 of an acre enlargement of Pecousic Brook, and it runs east to west. So again, land underwater, bank running along the banks of the Pecousic Brook, and then these areas of bordering vegetated wetland in the lighter gray shade. What we're proposing is to remove a limited amount of sediment and debris at the end of this irrigation water intake to get this irrigation system back up and running. What's happened is the irrigation pond has filled up with sediment and rendered the water intake and pump house inoperable, and the city has not been able to irrigate the golf course using this pond. They had to purchase water from Springfield Water and Sewer last year at a cost of, I believe, $80,000. Move to the next plan. This is, apologies. This is a bathymetric survey of the pond. So this is showing the existing pond depths. It ranges from, here's a depth of a foot down to just over 3 feet in this area. As you'll see in the next plan, which is hard bottom, the pond contours go from, here's your -1 elevation all the way down to -8. So there's quite a bit of sediment that's within this pond. What we're looking to do, again, is to remove less than 100 cubic yards at the end of this water intake. Here's the next plan. This is just showing the proposed work. So we're proposing to access the site on the southern edge. We'll use work mats, temporary construction mats in this area to access the pond, and then install a turbidity curtain around the irrigation water intake, and then using an excavator, dig out the accumulated sediment and debris at the end of the water intake. And we're planning to do this in the wet, so there would be no bypass pumping or installation of any coffer dams. It would just be the installation of a turbidity curtain, and the work would be cordoned off into just this area here. And we're proposing to place the removed sediment in this reuse area here in upland. We'll put erosion controlled area around it, and then bring that back up to, we'll blend it in with grade and then put some topsoil and seed it to stabilize it. This is just a few of the details, the detail of the turbidity curtain. And I think this detail here is probably of most interest. This is just a typical section through that work area. So we're looking to go down to an elevation of -8 and at 2-to-1 side slopes. And it'll be, at a diameter of 30 feet max at the top. So we're looking to remove less than 100 cubic feet of material at the end of the pipe.
Can you just briefly describe why you want to remove less than 100?
Well, we're looking to remove less than 100. Apologies. So that we don't trigger the need for a 401 water quality cert. And the city is looking to do this work as soon as possible. They have a target construction date of next month because they want to get the system up and running for the next golf season. And that's the reason why we're keeping it under that threshold, is that it's enough to get the water intake up and running again. Because if we had to wait for a water quality cert, we did more than that. And we're looking at, a 6 to 8 month wait for that certification.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
This is kind of a Band-Aid approach because we've been saying that the park needed to do a filing to do a more extensive dredge there, and that never happened. So this is your stopgap measure. Are you going to go forward with a more complete plan in the future?
That is the idea, yes.
And Chris, just so you know, they had prepared that bigger plan to get the permitting, everything getting started, to do the bigger whole pond dredge. But DEP wanted to separate the two. We had a meeting with them so that we do this sort of discrete project that can get it working in the short term. And then upon completion, they submit the next one for the whole pond. And then we deal with it ideally by the end of this year. We do it
I
in the
see what-
fall.
Yeah, I can see what they're doing, yeah. They didn't want to do it all in one filing. So I would assume that when you do your more complete plan, at the inlet of Pecousic, that you might put a sediment basin that you could routinely maintain to stop the sedimentation from getting and filling the pond again? Is that, are you contemplating that?
That's not something that's currently in the city's thoughts, no. It's something we can bring up to them, but you know, the size of this pond doesn't really warrant the installation of a sediment forebay. It kind of acts as one itself. I know we're not looking to you know, have this fill up over time, but it's a manageable footprint for the city to maintain. It's just something that, you know, they'll have to come back, you know, every few years to maintain this irrigation pond.
There
Okay,
may
so-
be an opportunity of somehow working it into a maintenance type agreement that is less involved, to at least keep the, you know, the intake clear. So we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you don't let it expire and we keep it, yeah, there are ways to do that. So this is a much more just very narrow scope plan just to get you enough area for the water to be pumped out of.
That's correct.
I think we should at least touch upon, I don't know if you've prepared the responses to DEP's comments. There was a number of them that was it released last week maybe? That I think we should at least just kind of begin discussing, or we address at the next meeting since we have to continue. But I think we at least start talking about some of them right now.
Okay, so has there been any answers to any of the DEP questions developed at this point?
We have not developed them, no, but we could go over them now. Let's see. The document that discussed the dewatering plans, I don't think is necessarily applicable to this project. We're not proposing to dewater the pond for the work, so it's just the installation of a turbidity curtain. So I think Mr. Stinson's comments here really don't apply to this project because this is all in discussion of dewatering.
I think the one that I was curious about was that you had put into your plan impacts to, was it land subject to flooding for the turbidity curtain? And he said you can't have impacts to that because it's not in the water column. I was just curious if you had an answer for that.
I think that's the other document you might be referring to.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It is, and Steve, this is Adrian. I can take this one. The BLSF is mapped. It's the most recent FEMA flood zone, 100-year floodplain. And the way that FEMA maps it, it's a polygon that includes the water body itself. But the WPA only regulates it from the upland edge of the bank or the BVW, whichever is further from the water body. So our BLSF impact includes areas that are outside of the wetland. So that's what the number should represent, is that there's areas in the buffer zone, for example, that are also in the BLSF.
Okay.
And that's the temporary impact.
Okay. His comment about there's no base flood elevation.
FEMA has not provided a base flood elevation. There's no study on this area. They have it just mapped as zone A,
Okay.
which has no base flood.
So your calculation was just literally based on the polygon that you have from their mapping and where your temporary mats
Correct.
are?
Yes, that's the
Oh.
only information we had available for floodplain.
Okay,
Yeah, so this line here, this dashed dot line, and then the similar line on the other side represents the BLSF. So this is the work that we're proposing within that boundary.
okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commission questions?
There's a few more comments from DEP that I think we need to just get
Oh,
on
okay.
the record there.
I can open up the document if that's helpful.
Yep.
So there's
Oh, is the aerial photos showing the differences between vegetation and he was suggesting from, I'm not terribly familiar with the color imaging, but he was suggesting that from these aerial photos that there's more BBW. But I know you guys did a
right. We went out there and we, we had two of our environmental scientists on site, and they flagged the wetland as they saw it in the field. I think they did a very thorough job of attempting to delineate the resource areas. Kevin, I don't
Yeah.
remember, were you able to come out on site to review?
We have not done, I mean, I've been there in the
Right.
past, but we haven't done a recent review of the delineation.
Okay.
So that's another one that I think in the interim, we need to like visit the site.
Okay.
But that the aerials did show some differences in vegetation. I know the aerials can be taken from different points of view, but it seems like DEP was gonna require in the areas that seem to have been vegetation had been removed over the years, that it just be allowed to revegetate. I think it said in situ, as you just sort of like stop. I don't know if the mowers have gotten expanded what was fairway and what wasn't. That was kind of
Yeah,
the
that's
feeling.
definitely something we can discuss. I don't know that he really had a clear, looking at the aerial photos. I don't know how we can go about determining where the commission would like to limit the mowing, but that's certainly something we can entertain for sure as a condition of approval.
Okay, I think it just needs to be addressed in some manner so that we can put it into our order to satisfy their requirements, and then we move on.
Okay.
Kevin, did he happen to mention what year's aerials he was looking at? Because they did some major reconstruction of that hole a number of years back.
I think they have aerials every so many years. I think it was post that major project. So I can't necessarily say when. I'd have to look at the aerials again, but it was after that project.
It was after the project. Okay.
Yeah. And another one he had mentioned just about the existing conditions on the plan set, about there being one one sand trap versus on the plan set it showed 3. I think maybe you were basing your plan set off of like a pre-established set.
I think we did have, yes, we had some plans from a prior survey that we used, but we also included some information from aerials. I mean, that's certainly something we can look at. And if there's, a sand trap, there's only one there currently, and the plan is showing 3. That's an easy fix.
And it's not a part of the work area. It is just I think the concern was, are we seeing the most up-to-date information?
Yeah, we'll take a look at that for sure, and just and make any changes. But I think you're right, Kevin. Everything that's within the work area should be shown correctly in the plans that we submitted.
And from my perspective, the most important stuff is that bathymetric data you provided, that we just want some sort of assurance that the volume that you're pulling out of there is in fact under 100 was it cubic feet of material or cubic yards, sorry. So you provided that
calculation if that's, yeah, I mean, we can definitely provide a calculation. We did that as part of our efforts on this filing. You know, we made sure that the footprint we showed on the plans represented less than 100 cubic yards, but we can provide a calculation that substantiates that claim.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing I'm just gonna want between now and the next meeting is just a response to these comments that we can throw in the file, and we'll do a site visit again. We're getting some warm weather, and I think we'll be able to see more clearly out there. Okay. So we can move this along.
Okay. Other questions from any committee members? Hearing none, is there a motion to continue this for the time for public input?
I'll make a motion to continue petition ID 6081 in time for our public input.
I'll second that. I'll second it.
Stephanie, you got,
Chris?
yes. Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Clarence,
Yes.
Juanita.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All
All right, Steve, so I'll be in contact with you. We can set up a site visit, and we can discuss all these remaining bits before the next meeting.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, item 3, continued items, Camp Star. Is there an update for that, or are we?
Yep, I think we're ready to move on that. I'll open it to Laura and/or Anya.
Thank you. I'll start us off, Laura, if you don't mind, and then with any questions from the park side. I'm Anya Duffy with GZA, working on behalf of the Springfield Parks Department. Laura Walsh is with me to present this project. At our last January 26th meeting, we presented our permit drawings showing a stone dust trail down the ravine from Camp Star proper down to the shore of Porter Lake. And just before that meeting, we received comments from DEP questioning the size of the proposed culvert, which at that point on the plan showed a 12-inch diameter pipe. Upon further review of the general permit regulations, we did indeed agree with DEP's understanding of that, and we upped our size to a 42-inch diameter RCP culvert that is embedded at least 15 inches with a rocky bottom substrate. I'll share with you the revised drawing. Can you see that?
Not yet.
It's coming up, I think. Yep.
There it is.
Okay. So this is the drawing C5, and I'll just quickly pull up the one you saw previously at the last meeting. At the last meeting, I had it split up into viewports at a little larger scale, but for ease of viewing and clarity, and so that I could fit the detail on it, I zoomed out a bit, and now you see this whole continuous pathway and how it sneaks down with a blow-up view of the crossing. So basically, this shaded area is our culvert drawn to scale. Our path goes right over it. We will have a field stone head wall on both sides just to help with grades there, so we don't have any more erosion or any erosion. It'll tie in nicely with the other retaining walls that are keeping the slopes intact and limiting impact to the forest. And we'll also have a cedar rail fence on both sides, and that will straddle that pipe. So it's a 8-foot span between the fence posts, and that'll go on each side of that 42-inch pipe. And this little detail here shows the pipe and a 24-inch thick crushed stone foundation, and the amount that it would be embedded with a rocky material. And I can zoom in if anyone wants me to. I know it's probably pretty small on everyone's screen. So why don't I do that? And that was really the only comment kind of left to answer or change as far as DEP's comments go. And that's basically it. I think it works out better. Just, you don't ever want that pipe to clog. We don't expect a lot of water ever going through there. It's mostly just at wet periods, it might be wet there, but there's really no flow. But you know, if it ever did, things changed, at least it's a sizable pipe that you could easily clean out.
Thank you.
That's it. Cool.
Are there questions from commission members? And Kevin, was there any public input?
No, there was not. And this was basically the one kind of sticking point. You had addressed, I think, all the other DEP comments. So yeah, in the event we get a major storm and there actually is some flow through that gully, I think this is sort of oversized to accommodate that. So I'm happy with the where we're at.
I was out there the other day. It's going to look nice. I mean, it's a perfect area.
It's like a little fern gully.
Yeah, no, it's going to be nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice.
Well, I'm looking forward to the ribbon cutting and getting a lot of people on that trail. So it's just going to be really enhance the area. So thank you for your comments, Juanita. I know you're over there quite often, so you can keep an eye on it when we're constructing.
I'm sure that they got a lot of neighborhood use for a nice little walk area rather than walking on the roads.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it'd be, it's a nice extension there, that little loop in the Camp Star Angelina area. And now that we'll have a formalized trail that is a little easier for people to use, but and also safer for folks to use. I really do hope the public takes advantage of it. You don't want to build it and have no one use it. But hopefully people will start using it more and really enjoy that part of Forest Park.
Any other comments or questions from commission members? Hearing none, a motion to close the public hearing would be in order.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing for, for the Camp Star Accessibility Trail.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call vote is required.
Chris,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Clarence,
Yes.
Juanita.
Yes.
Thank you. I think you can unshare your screen now. That way we'll get everybody.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you guys very much.
Thank you.
We'll vote to issue the order. We've closed the hearing. We'll vote to issue the order. So you feel free to sign off.
Yay.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, item B is 81 Fairhaven.
Continued.
Continued again.
Yep.
Okay, 4A is a certificate of compliance for file number 2940388.
Yep, this is the one. Attorney Alan Fryman is here, just representing the property owner. We had talked about it last meeting, but we just wanted the elements, the as-built, the statement to be submitted, which was submitted between then and now. So we've got an as-built plan, we've got some comparative aerial photos, the statement. So I think we're ready to, I mean, it's, the project's long been over, but I think we're ready to issue a complete certificate. So I don't know if you wanted to say anything, Ellen, or you just.
No, I just wanted to be available if any questions came up. But this is in connection with a future development of mall property, and we're just cleaning up the title, which should have been addressed a long time ago and just never was. So this was a part of when the cinemas came in.
Thank you, Ellen. If there's no additional questions, then a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for file number 2940388 is in order at this time.
I make a motion to that.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There we go. Roll call, please. Steph?
Chris,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Clarence,
Yes.
Juanita.
Yes.
Thank you. 17 Elaine?
I'm wondering are you comfortable with issuing both of these at the same time in like sort of a joint motion, or do you want to do them separately? Because they're both the same issue.
But my guess is the properties are being sold separately, so we're probably better off taking
Do them
two
separately.
separate votes.
Okay, so out of jurisdiction, administratively covered. So we're going to issue a partial certificate just addressing 17 Elaine Circle.
Okay, so is there a motion to issue a partial certificate for Elaine Circle?
I'll make a motion to issue a partial certificate for, is it 11 Lane Circle?
17.
17 Lane Circle.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Stephanie, roll call vote, please.
1 second. Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Clarence,
Yes.
Juanita.
Yes.
Thank you. And the same thing for 43. It's outside the jurisdiction, so a partial certificate. The only reason I'm doing the two votes is I'm sure these parcels are being sold separately, and I don't want to have the lawyer have to,
Yeah.
So what a motion to issue for 43 Elaine is in order.
Okay, I'll make a motion to issue a partial certificate for 43 Elaine Circle.
I'll second.
Thank you.
1 second. Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Clarence,
Yes.
Juanita.
Yes.
Okay, item 5 is approval of minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions for the minutes? Hearing none, a motion to approve would be in order.
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Roll.
So,
Oh, Chris,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Clarence,
Yes.
Juanita.
yes.
And Steph, this was for I didn't put the date, but it was 126, I think.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
So did I zone out or did we not deal with Fairhaven Drive?
No, wasn't it 2-2?
Oh, boy. I have to look back. We can adjust it for the official minutes. Fairhaven, we're continuing because we still don't have an
Oh, okay.
agreement with
All right.
with the city to do work on city land. So
Okay.
it's taking a while, like the rest of the project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kevin, do you have an order of conditions for the park project?
Yeah, there's really only two major points beyond our standard order, like buffer zone order. One is allowing work within the 50, obviously, because they're going to be in there. And then, addressing the plan set revisions, which will somehow get in there. But also there's a small number of wetland impacts that are a part of that, the crossing over the wetland where we had them increase the culvert size, and they met the the performance standards. So they're under the threshold that requires mitigation because it's only like, the number escapes me, but we can add it to the official minutes. It's like 100 or 200 square feet of wetland impacts. It's under the threshold requiring mitigation, and it's because it's a finger, like the language was a finger-like projection of BVW. So there actually will be a small number of wetland impacts, but I think the thinking behind it is to safely get people down there. They're actually going to be kind of avoiding other stuff. So the two conditions I would add to the standard order is allowing work within the 50 and approving the wetland impacts proposed in the project.
Okay. So those are two additional conditions, and then the rest is our standard order.
Yep.
So does someone want to make a motion to issue the order of conditions as read?
I'll make a motion to issue the order of conditions as read.
I'll
second it.
Roll, Chris,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Clarence,
Yes, yes.
Juanita.
Yes.
All that wetland talk, you got a little frog in there. And that's all I see on the agenda. Is that correct?
Yeah, the only thing is I'm going to need to track you all down again for signatures. We've got some from our last meeting and the ones from this meeting. So I'll be in contact, and hopefully if it works for you all, it was very helpful to have you come to my.
Yeah, I can come
building.
down. That's,
Yeah, it's
Okay.
easy to drive by there, so it's not a
Yeah.
problem.
So I'll be in on Thursday all day. So I'm gonna tomorrow morning. I'll try and see if I can get some time. See if you guys are available Thursday. Otherwise, it'll be soon.
Okay.
just let us know whenever. I'm pretty free.
Thursday looks okay. Anything else?
Thursday's good with me.
No, I think that's it for tonight.
Then a motion to adjourn is in order.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn. Everyone be safe, and we'll see you next,
2
whenever.
weeks.
I'll second.
I'll second. Peter
Roll,
second.
Chris,
Oh.
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Clarence,
Yes.
Juanita.
Yes.